Hello, hello. Welcome to the play that changed my life. I'm Patrick White of Harbinger Theater, and I have two fantastic guests here today. Emily Curro, who is the producing executive director of Foundry Theater, and Jean-Remy Monnay, who is the producing artistic director of Black Theater Troupe of Upstate New York. Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Good morning.
Yeah, so I created this podcast to have theater conversations, and we've been chatting as things have been setting up, and that's really what I created this podcast for. So welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. I sent you an article. There was news yesterday about a board meeting in Sherman, Texas. Yeah, who were planning to do a production of Oklahoma.
Right. Yes.
And it was
I read about
actually set to go up in early December. And the school board ruled against the production and pulled it because there was a trans young man playing Ali Hakim, and and I'm sure there were young women playing men, because there are always young women playing men in high school productions. But they said that that only males could be only born at birth males could be playing males, and only born at birth females could be playing females. They pulled the production, and then there was a number of protests across the country, and they had another meeting that went hours long with overwhelming support for the production, for the young trans actor. And the production was reinstated, and they're going to do it in January, which appears to be a positive outcome.
I would think. But is it the same? They going to dig in the same school or a different school?
No, it's back on the boards at Sherman, Texas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And the young student is remaining in the role.
Yeah.
I would say that it's a positive outcome, although I would say that probably the trauma that those students had to endure while going through this entire process is unnecessary and probably outweighs the positivity of continuing the production. That's a lifelong thing that they will remember.
It's tough to have to deal with that, but it takes that kind of issue, that kind of heartbreak, for changes. At least those young, and people dealing with it, they're going to be good example for the future. So
Yeah, and they do get this outpouring of support from
Yes.
the national theater community. Also, I believe at the board meeting that there were college students that showed up and demanded the board live up to their own mission, which was inclusive and supportive. So there is that came out of it.
Right. But, to what end to have your community hold you that accountable
Yeah.
when they're the ones in power?
And, this all comes as a flashpoint, when you're taking the show away from high schoolers, but then what's going on behind the scenes, and what is this going to engender, pardon the pun, in forces against wanting to do this, wanting to do these productions, and wanting to be inclusive. Perhaps budget cuts, or I've spoken many times with area administrators and artists who just don't want to challenge, like, can we do Urinetown at Scotia? And sometimes you just don't want that fight, we're going to do the Addams Family. Although the Addams Family caught a protest last year because of its, macabre themes.
Sure. Everybody has something to say about everything. And I mean, to me, I think it's like, just remember that these are children.
Yeah.
And that,
Well,
it's
people,
our job is to make them feel supported and loved. And it doesn't matter what play it is, it doesn't matter what the production is about.
right.
Gender and sexuality shouldn't come into the conversation as far as allowance or non-allowance. I don't think that's an adult's choice.
Well, then again, when people believe what they want to believe, they're not thinking of whether the kids, whether the children. They they still have the old mindset. That's what they don't want to see. They're gonna fight it anyway. So, but I'm glad this happened. They're gonna do the show because it's when people are not afraid to speak up, to stand, to fight for something. Same thing for voting. You can't be silenced. Otherwise, this wouldn't happen if,
I'm curious to know, as far as the production keeping going, who are the adults that are in charge, and were they the ones that created this issue in the first place? Are they still the ones there rehearsing, or is it a new team? What efforts are they making to make sure that people feel safe in that environment moving forward after making this decision to keep going?
Yeah, I don't know specifics about it, although, the theater department did do a production of Marisol by Rivera just a couple of years ago, and that is a challenging production. So I get the feeling that the theater department, at least, is behind these kids. And to cast this role, I don't know. Sometimes you're just casting in high school. I don't know. I don't know the specifics, but.
Well, they're going to need a lot of support, especially the specific characters have to deal with that. They're going to need a lot of support
Same. I hope
from
that
the
they're
community. Otherwise, if they don't get the support, it's going to affect them even to come back and be part of the production.
Exactly.
Sure.
I hope they're getting those resources if they've decided to move forward.
They're in the New York Times, so yeah. Do you, both of you, are in on artistic decisions as far as scheduling a season? Do you ever look at a show and, I mean, obviously you consider how it's going to be received, but is it ever a determining factor into schedule or not schedule as far as whether it's pushing buttons or controversy that, whether you want to take that on or not?
If you ask me, me personally, I always want to do the right thing, okay? And most of the show that I do, there's always a little controversy, something in there. But you do have to consider. Like, I'm going to give you one good example. I don't know how many times I'm getting called from a theater outside of town, they're ready to start rehearsal. They have applied for a license for the show. They're ready.
I feel that.
They're ready, and then I'm when things are getting close, even to start rehearsal, they're still missing one actor.
Yeah.
They're missing a black actor or Hispanic, and then I'm getting a call. Please help us. We need a black actor for this part. But I'm thinking, to answer your questions, when you're selecting the play, you live in an area. I think you should, think, am I going to find that actor first before I even apply for it?
Right. What relationships have I already built in an organic way that makes sense?
Can you cast this?
Can I cast this? Yeah, exactly.
And not even, there's actor X, well, what if actor X is not interested or is, has a wedding or whatever?
Yep.
What if actor X is not available? How do you cast that? But that goes to why you created Black Theater Troupe, right? I mean, you've always spoken about creating this, not just opportunities, but that, and that you were being asked to play in, To Kill a Mockingbird or Clybourne Park. But that's why you created Black Theater Troupe, right?
I created Black Theater Troupe when I started performing up here in 2000, okay, and at Hubbard Hall, my first play in English, period. I moved up here in 97. And then 99, 2000, 2001, 2003, until 2009, something was still missing. It was fun for me. I was getting a lot of parts, regardless of where I go. People tell me, "You sure you want to go there? Just redneck here and there. They're not going to want you." I said, but I never let that stop me. I said, "I'm going. If they don't want me when I get there, I'll find out." And then, but something was still missing. And I'm sure you were there from the beginning when I started. And then I needed to do something. We need the community, local theater, the local stage need to be more diverse. Okay, and so I went out in the supermarket, and we started it. First of all, we had our first reading in the library, and then start posting things on Facebook. And Patrick was one of them who was coming in. It wasn't about just Black. I just wanted people to come out and support and start reading. That's what we were doing. And then after that, our first big production was Camp Logan in 2012. 2013, I didn't know I was going to find 7 Black actors to be in the play. Yeah. But we did, because you have to go out and reach out and talk to people, give them the chance. I didn't do it to look for experienced actors. I said, if I have to hold your hand, and that's what I'm going to do. And I started, now it feels good going forward. It feels good now going out and see plays. Troy Foundry did a play to see in 2 of the
Hard
actors.
Candy.
Hard Candy, started with the Black Theater Troupe, and your last production, and to see, mostly Black actors and that I've never heard of. It feels good to see that you reaching out, on your own to find Black actors, and things are much better. And now we still have a long way to go.
Yeah.
And I haven't been on stage for a long time, other than doing stage reading now. But what I'm doing now is more important. It's not about me. It's more important because and for the community, and even going to the local colleges, and it's all part of what I do. Not just with the Black Theater Troupe. They call me there to go in there, working with those kids. Most of them never done it. In one of the colleges I directed, talking about you have when I was casting the show, and then one of the actors was a young trans person, and I cast as one of the female role, and she did great, and she was wonderful, and I did not see that because that and her family came in, and they thanked me, because was very excited. So. It's not what I do. It's not just about Black. Diversity to me is more than that, more than black and white.
Sure.
Okay, and that's the way I see it. If I have to cast somebody with who has certain, what's the term? Somebody who has certain. Defect, illness. I'm looking for the term.
Challenges.
Thank you. If that's going to help them, and then to cast them, to help them live their life, to make it easier for them. I have people who come, that I work with, who suffer from depression, and then they're having a hard time. Really. Okay, they're having a hard time. I mean, I did a show where the actors was having problem with the director, and then and then and then the person couldn't remember his line. He was late all the time.
Yeah.
And then I had the party, and I invited him, and then we were talking, okay, and then he started telling me about his life and the reason he loved theater, because he suffered from depression. That's one of the reasons that he's doing this. The fact that I know that about him, I want to help him even more.
Right.
Okay, I'm not gonna fire you because you can't, be on time because you have so much going on in your life.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just gonna make it worse for them. Okay, so no, I'm gonna work with you. Okay, a lot of people do this because they think theater is a place to be. When I'm stressed, I'm, with outside life, I want to be in a production somewhere. So I want people that can welcome me to, to work with you. So, yeah.
Which is a beautiful thing about Capital Region Theater.
Yeah.
I think we all get something personally,
Right.
emotionally, spiritually. It's not a cutthroat business.
Yeah.
There's no, I don't think there's any hierarchy or, pecking order. But you just listed a number of things that you've done to establish the Black Theater Troupe and promote diversity, and now's a good time to mention that you are the winner of the Larry Murray Award from the Berkshire Theater Critics Association just Monday. You picked up an award for community service, civic engagement, audience development. Well deserved.
No, thank you.
Congratulations.
It was very
Remy.
emotional.
Oh, I can,
me,
of course.
even from the call that I was nominated for that, for that specific award itself, and then to show up there and all those people and knowing where I came from. I tell people, I give them an example. Knowing where I came from in this country, I didn't speak the language. I went from 82 to 99. I stopped acting because of language issue. Okay, and then I didn't speak the language, and then to go from there, and then after 20 years, and then to be traveling to the Berkshire, receiving an award for, it was very emotional and for me, and I still, and then on top of that, to be selected as a premier beneficiaries for the Albany Chef and Wine. And it's all that's happening at the same week. It's plus some other stuff. Thank you for this whole community who've been supporting me. You, Patrick, who was there from the beginning. Now working with Foundry, collaborating with them in projects, and we at CapRep. Right, it's a good time, for me. Mainly, it may not be a big deal for other people, but coming where I came from. And it's big for me.
Well, we're all incredibly proud of you.
Yes. And I admire you so. I'm so glad that I get to be in your orbit.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be in your orbit.
Yeah. And it's a force that's undeniable. These are Berkshire Theater critics.
Right, yeah.
The room, probably not a lot of people have seen a Black Theater Troupe production.
No.
But it's undeniable. And, they reached out to you.
Yeah.
To honor you. I mean, you have the home now at Capitol Rep. You have the, Harold Island studio.
Yeah.
But you also do main stage productions there.
We have 3 to 4 production a season, and 3 in the studio. You call it / black box, and 1 on the main stage each season.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, another feather in your cap.
I don't know how to thank Philip Morris and Maggie enough, because to have a home, even if there's little thing here when you load in, and I still have to rehearse other places, and then but when you have a home, you don't have to be going around crazy, to have a regular.
What do you mean, like Troy Foundry Theater?
Like Harbinger?
What are you trying to say, Remy?
I'm telling you, I know how. In a way, yes. Because I know I've been there. Okay, and some people, that's what they want to do. Some people, but it's really a great thing. And I thank Philip Morris and Maggie for providing that space, and we can do more. And I'm really grateful for it.
Awesome. Emily, you want to pick up that thread of the conversation that
absolutely.
started this?
I will. We were talking about season planning, which is always a little bit different for Troy Foundry. We don't typically operate in a season model. We don't announce a big, thing at the beginning of the year. We like to work in a way where we have a little bit more freedom, and we are a lot of the time creating brand new work. So we don't know what that's going to be.
Right.
We don't know what it's going to look like. We don't know what it's going to be called. But this year kind of moved a little bit differently for us than it has in the past. Last year, we kind of decided at the end of the year, our year, which is December, that we wanted to take more time and put more resources into new work development and less time trying to rush through to get main stages that are being created from zero up on their feet in 4 weeks and then performing them for 3 and then putting them to bed. That cycle works sometimes, but we kind of found that, we were growing out of that intensity to keep going. There's only so many of us. And what we really wanted to accomplish was to be able to have a year or more to work on projects like this that are being developed from the ground up. And so that takes time, and that takes a bit of like a cycle shift. Mm-hmm. And so this year, 2023, we launched the TFT Company Creation Initiative, which was funded by a NISCA grant, and it allowed us to put 4 projects into development that had about between 3 and 4 months of specific time slots to work on creation. And at the end of that time was the Half-Baked Festival that we put up this year, which was intentionally a presentation of half-cooked material and half-baked work. In process items, so that people had the chance to get it in front of eyes and know what that felt like.
Half-baked? Was it?
Half-baked. It was the Half-Baked Festival of Emerging Work. Kind of like a half-baked cookie. You're like, it's good, but it's not quite there. And yeah, that was, that process is really important to us in the development process. People have to see they have to bring it to some eyes. They have to put it in front of some kind of people, and we can put it in front of each other, but then that starts to feel very internal. So to give projects the opportunity to be performed, get feedback, and now again go into another cycle of development in 2024 has been something that we've really been focusing on. And with the Half Baked Fest, we also accepted outside submissions, which is actually how we received Hard Candy and Misdemeanors. That was submitted by Chris to the Half Baked Fest, and we got it. And Angelique directed the reading of it, and it was almost the same cast, except for Diaka ended up not being able to do it, and so Morgan Hayward came into the role. But that project was something that really showed itself as something that we were interested in, something that our company was really interested in working on and developing, which is super important because it's a collective and a collaborative. And Angelique showed a lot of passion for that project, and so we said, take it, run, go, do this. And she did.
Awesome. The Half-Baked Festival was when? And then the production went up when?
So the Half-Baked Festival was in June.
Wow.
In July, we did another week-long session with Chris Eli Black. He came back to Troy.
Right.
And so we did another week-long workshop with Chris and the actors. And then we put it up in September.
Wow.
But that play was more fully baked when it came to us. And
He's a writer. I mean,
he's an incredible writer. And if you don't know Chris Eli Black, please get to know
I've
this
read,
person's work.
I read a lot of his work. I actually, the June production, and we're doing a series of short plays, 10 short plays and monologue.
right.
And he's one of the playwrights.
That's so
Excellent.
great.
We
Yeah, it's been a
selected.
really lovely
That's nice.
relationship that we've developed with Chris. We've done a couple of his new plays at other readings in past years. And that's also a huge part of what we're committed to is developing a relationship and keeping a relationship and figuring out what we can do to support and nurture that relationship because
I
that
love that.
doesn't exist a lot of places. And then the one last thing I'll mention that's exciting is that while we haven't announced activities for 2024, we do know that we are putting up another project that came from the Half Baked Festival that was created by one of our company members on the main stage in 2024. So that's another kind of milestone of accomplishment for us trying to explore this new process. When we went to our residency this year, which we go to every year, which is through Collarworks, it's the Elizabeth Murray Artist Residency. This year, we focused on a brand new project that has no name and that has seeds of creation, and that will go into development for the entire year. And so we're trying this new model of time and more resources dedicated to support the work that's being developed and the artists that are creating it.
Nice. I love the relationship with Chris Black that, that not only does he and the companies benefit from developing a relationship with this artist coming to the capital region, but also your audiences get to see him in a number of different ways.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
I think that's really
He's very
exciting.
young too, and he can. The man can write. I love reading his work. So.
He's also just an amazingly lovely, genuine, polite, loving, caring human. And so it's a pleasure to have Chris around when he's able to be with us.
Well, he's going to be around a little longer. Because he's doing one of his short plays.
Yep.
Awesome.
I know Chris loves Troy, so
Yeah.
he can come back whenever he
But he's
wants.
gonna love Albany.
And actually, the first connection made as far as how Chris came to find Troy Foundry Theater was through Morgan Hayward. He submitted a play to Illuminate and started to get to know Morgan and worked with Morgan. And then I think Morgan maybe suggested submitting to Troy Foundry or something along those lines. And we were like, oh my gosh, let's.
So great.
Yeah, it's just very connected.
And there we have three companies, Black Theater Troupe, Troy Foundry, and Illuminate, all working together, making connections with this artist that everyone's interested in, including myself, as an audience member. And
the only way things can get better doing it by yourself. You can get somewhere, but you cannot get too far to the top. But when you collaborate, you're working with people, and it's always the best way to go. And that's what I believe in.
yeah, someone keeps saying the rising tide lifts all boats. So Capital Region Theater, what else is going on that you see? We talked about the Broadway World Awards last episode.
Oh, yes.
I think I'll leave that.
We've covered that.
Yeah.
It's a great thing. I don't really follow. I go in and vote, but I don't go there all the time to see all the nominees. But it is a great thing, to tell you the truth, because when you see a young actors like Alex, for example,
Oh yeah,
Heck, for
Alex
example.
Alexander
He's
Heck.
just new to this, and then to see himself being nominated, it's whether you win or not, it helped the community, the artists a lot. It gives them, motivation to keep going.
Yeah.
To see that. So I think it's a good thing.
That's true.
And a lot of people from all the theaters and the Harbingers and Troy Foundries and those people are getting nominated. I think it's a great thing for them just to see they're being recognized for what they do.
We tend not to get too like involved in
Right.
in promoting voting or whatever. It's not something that we like really.
Yeah, I don't do it, but
But I hear what you're saying, and it's exciting for the young actors
For
for your the
Yeah.
people, and
I mean, it's
fun.
it's the
It's
same.
camaraderie. It creates excitement. It
Yeah.
creates
Yeah, I want them to do well. I want them to continue, especially if they're new. We need to keep motivating them, and
yeah.
yeah.
I resonated with what you said a lot about teaching alongside of the work, and
yeah,
that happens a lot at Troy Foundry as well. A lot of times people come to us and they're interested in doing something, and we've developed a relationship with them over a certain amount of years, and we just say, okay,
yeah. You have to
do it.
You have to working with new actors.
Yeah, we've got your back.
Yep.
Do it.
I treat them like they're my son, my daughter. I treat them like them in my
Family.
my brother, family. You have to. If you just treat them like, okay, you're an actor, come in, rehearse, go home, that's not enough, for me to get them, to keep motivating to keep coming back. And I let them know this is not just for the Black Theater Troupe, it's for the community, and you have to make them, your family.
I couldn't agree more.
Great. Along those lines, Angelique was directing her first show. Right?
Yes, you'd never know it was her first show,
That's awesome.
but she's been ready to do this longer than I think she knew, and
She always says she's not a director, but
All she-
I was waiting for that time. I knew she
all she needed was someone to say, here,
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
go do this, and she did it, and she was amazing.
I was
and
proud of her too.
watching her work is the most
Okay.
incredible, beautiful. The relationship that she has with those actors is like nothing I've ever seen or experienced. And I think she's going to do this for a long time if we're lucky.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, nice. And part of the growth process,
Yeah.
is letting go and
Yes.
encouraging others. I don't need to direct every show. I don't need to.
I was thinking
can't.
about that this morning also, like what comes next for Troy Foundry after. I mean, I'm not leaving Troy Foundry. That's not what I'm saying. But like, what I'm not going to do what I do forever. And
Where's your directing debut?
what I mean, if I'm going to do anything, I'll perform and write.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of my preferred wheelhouse outside of producing.
I got to say, I don't know if it's surprising, but your work with Hold On Honeys just knocks me
Thank you. Oh my gosh.
I appreciate, Emily Curro is, I appreciate you are, I can tell from attending a Troy Foundry theater about how much work you do and what you do to set up these events and what's going on. And it all goes through you. And I've seen you act a number of times, but your work in this trio, Hold On Honeys, your vocal work was just,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That is like a total passion project that stemmed from pandemic, and actually we're actually now a quintet officially.
Oh,
Two of our band members have officially joined the group as official members. They are now Honeys. They are actually also, we are all members of Troy Foundry Theater. So the vocal trio is myself, Raya Malcolm, and Shannon Rafferty. And then our two newest official full-time members are Connor Armbruster, who was the musical director and who wrote most of the music for the musical that we wrote, and Michael Gregg, who is a local musician. He plays with Zan and the Winter Folk, and he's also a member of Troy Foundry and was involved in our musical creation. So it's kind of like a little growth off of Troy Foundry, and we totally used Troy Foundry as a way to give ourselves performances when we were first starting out.
But then you've appeared at Cafe Lena.
Yeah, it's kind of blown up into this bigger thing.
Were you at Nipperfest?
Yes, we were at Nipperfest. We played in the afternoon, or actually no, we played in the evening at Nipperfest, that was great. That was really fun. And coming up, we have a couple of shows. We are playing at the Park Theater in Glens Falls on November 30th. And on December 9th, we are doing a co-bill with Reese Fulmer and the Carriage House Band at the Hangar on the Hudson in Troy. So
very good.
That's also part of what I commit a lot of my time to on a daily basis. And it's hard to do all of those things. And
you wouldn't do without them.
Don't think I could. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I could. I wouldn't want to live without doing those things.
Although, we were talking before we started about producers' jobs and, and all the ground that we have to cover. And, and what you were thinking this morning, what happens next with Troy Foundry. And I think of that with Harbinger. How do I grow it? How do I get more people involved? How do I get more work done?
And I know David, my artistic director at Troy Foundry, David Gerard, I know that he thinks about this too. We think about this all the time. And first, I don't want to say he has it easier, but I think that there are more people excited about kind of learning from him in the directing trade than there are people that are excited to jump on learning about producing. It's not like a glamorous film producing job. Yeah. It's the nitty gritty, it's the dirty, it's the things that nobody wants to do.
Yeah, people think of the producing. First of all, most people, when you look in the program, you see actors coming in and do beautiful work up there, lighting and sound and costumes and all this stuff. And most people don't really think of the producer, and it's all that. And especially for me as a producer, and I do a lot, so much more, including trying not just to bring BIPAC actors on the stage. Also, what I've been working on that is very important is to have to bring more BIPAC audience in the audience. Yeah. Okay, that's been a lot. When I'm out there,
designers, stage management.
So the more BIPAC actors you get involved, the more your audience will be more diverse. It feels good now. This last few productions, looking in the audience, our audience used to be 95% white.
Which is a great thing.
Beautiful thing. Okay, beautiful thing. Yeah. But even more beautifully, more colorful when it's like this, when you go out there, you see everybody. Sure. So now to look in our audience now and to see like it's like 50-50. Sometimes you even see, because, culture-wise, it's different. People, different cultures. There are certain days that they go out, they stay home, and there might be days where you look at our audience where 95% of the audience are all BIPAC, people of color. Okay, and then there are times it's still 95% all white. But it is so diverse now, the audience, and it feels so good, to see that. And I'm out every day, and I tell people would you like to be on my stage, or a stage manager, or director? If you're not interested in that, come see our shows. Yeah. And the next thing I see, they're either on my stage or in the audience. Yeah. Okay. it's all part of producing. When I'm out there, I do so many things. I'm invited to. I go to it. Even if I don't want to do it, for Remy. But I do it for the Black Theater Troupe. I do it for the community, community,
Yeah.
For the theater community.
Right.
Yeah. So it's not about me. It's
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's I resonate with that.
Yeah.
It's not about us. It's
Yeah. I have our next show. I think you probably saw it was a special production, and it's we're doing Mountaintop.
Yep.
yeah.
Okay, which was the last show we did in March with Confetti Stage with Angelique.
That was such a
Ini,
great show.
and right before they closed, everything was shut down. That was too great a show. There's a lot of things.
I think
we
that was
could
when
have
I met
done.
Eni.
Yeah, there was a
Yeah.
lot of things we could have done, we didn't do because it wasn't the right location, the right spot.
Yep.
So now we're doing that on the main stage. We're hoping to do all those old trick, make it.
Yeah,
yeah.
it has a lot of opportunities
Yeah.
for some
Yeah.
technical wizardry.
I'm hoping to bring to you to do all this
Yeah.
stuff. So I'm excited. Michael Lake is directing.
Oh,
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, I'm not directing this
Yes.
time. Yeah.
Well, and we got to work with Michael Lake at for
Yeah.
Black Hard Candy and Misdemeanors.
nice. Yeah, Michael is a great guy and
Yeah.
goes back to Schenectady County Community College, and I
Yep.
think he took acting with Chris as well. Yeah, that's great.
Oh,
And
I
I'm
should-
directing for you Albany now, and we're doing Clyde.
yes. Run the
I should mention. Yeah,
Yeah,
I should
yeah.
mention after you're finished. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're doing Clyde. We opened last night, and then the 15th, November 15th last night, and then it goes up to the 20th.
yeah.
6 performance.
So Remy has branched out from Black Theater Troupe of Upstate New York, and he's now directing. You've always done productions at Siena, but those were Black Theater Troupe productions. Now you're directing for the colleges.
I've used the space at Siena.
Right.
When the Black Theater Troupe, I also directed for Siena College also. And then I'm a visiting director for UAlbany and Union College. So it's good because most of the show we're doing is work with BIPAC actors, make the local colleges and high school more diverse. It's all part of what I do, not just with the Black Theater Troupe. Yeah.
Fan-frickin-tastic. Can't wait. Yeah, great stuff. And Emily, you were about to say.
I would be in trouble if I didn't mention that we do have a production coming up in just a couple weeks. It's a fundraiser for Troy Foundry Theater. It is a one-man production of A Christmas Carol starring David Gerard.
Oh,
With music and ambiance by Connor Armbruster. It's curated by David Baker of Theater Institute at Sage and David Gerard and Connor all together. And it's adapted by a gentleman named Wesley Bruleck, who you may recognize his name from the area, from Saratoga Shakespeare Company. So this is a limited engagement. There's only 4 performances. It is December 1st and 2nd at 8 o'clock. And then December 3rd, which is the day of Victorian Stroll in Troy, which is a huge day. We're doing a noon performance and a 7 p.m. performance.
David.
Yeah, and it's a one dude operation.
One
So
dude.
we'll see what he's got worked up. I imagine it's going to be spooky and incredible and fun. And we're raising some money for the end of the year, and
Cool.
come on out. and
That's
check that out.
exciting.
Yeah.
Awesome. And what venue are you?
We are doing this in, of course, a non-traditional space. It is the first floor of 19 3rd Street in Troy, New York. There's nothing else that I can say about it except for it's at 19 3rd Street, and you'll enter on the Franklin Alley entrance
Excellent.
for a wonderfully spooky experience.
Have you used that space?
We have not.
Now, are you approached by, or are you still scouting locations? Like,
Listen,
you come up with so many of them.
locations are the hardest thing that we do, and it's a combination of both. But oftentimes we're like, it's like right down to the minute that we're getting things set and like certificates signed and like COs authorized, and sometimes we do a lot of work in the space. We have a couple favorite places that we like to go back to, but location is so difficult.
Do you have any politicians in your?
Oh no, they don't like us.
They don't.
No. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, we're a little bit too out there, I think, for them. They're not quite sure what we do, and some of the
You draw crowds.
some of the topics that we bring up are less than easy to discuss, and
How we started this conversation, right? And that's another fear of mine with these productions that engender controversy, is that it's easier not to deal with it, and we won't fund it, and we won't, and which is why, we as audience members need to seek out Troy Foundry, Black Theater Troupe, and we need to support them to the best of our abilities, because if you don't support this work, you're not going to have the choice.
of course, yeah, and
It's all going to come down to
60% of our income comes from grants. Ticket sales is never how we make money, and it's not why we do what we do. And the rest of our funding comes from people, local individuals that enjoy what we do and want to support what we do and want to support the creatives that we work with. And, but, I know you talked about this. You must have reached the COVID conversation on the last couple episodes.
That's how we always start.
Yeah, but
kinda...
it's everyone's producing less and people are attending less, and it's difficult.
The reason why I brought up politicians, it gets stuck in my craw, is like if you go down to Manhattan, there are spaces. Manhattan Class Company has a new theater built inside an apartment building. That there are requirements of new buildings that they have cultural space. And when there is new building going on in Saratoga, Troy, that it seems to me these places that need theaters and galleries and, for their community, they need it, that this stuff should be mandated in building is like, if you're going to do this building, we need cultural space.
Oh, we did a show in the Office of Social Security once. That was fun. Do you remember that one? 100 Years. It was the Richard Jessup play.
It's one of my favorites.
We just we also, something that we think about a lot is like where, as far as where we perform is like who feels comfortable coming here?
Yeah.
Is it for everyone? Will everyone feel comfortable walking through the door? What part of town is it in? Is there transportation to get there?
Yep.
Is there public transportation to get there? Like those are all of the things that we think about all the time. And it's half the reason why we don't often do plays in traditional spaces, because they can hold a barrier for some individuals, and that's something that we're trying to get around.
I had a long conversation about that with the Community Theater Collaborative about Albany Barn and people who just refuse to attend Albany Barn. Yeah, I'm sorry. Were you about to say something? Or?
No, I totally agree. And for me, I've had people, when we, we had Philip, Maurice, and Maggie, want to give us a home to be right there.
Right.
It's means a lot, not just to have a space, but also I know there's a lot of people who can't, transportation, and to have, easy access to get to the theater, and it's good, Caprip is there. That's great, for them to, people don't have to worry about driving or even taking the bus sometime for the community. So it's good to have a place,
or the price of the ticket, for that matter.
A place and price of ticket, make it for. like you said, it's not about the money, in what you do, what I do. It's not about money. It's, I have a bigger dream. It's giving opportunity and accessibility for
Yeah.
for people in the community. So
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we're talking about hard candy, Camp Logan. We're not talking about how much money we made.
yeah,
Or
yeah. If it was about money, I wouldn't be in this business.
No.
of course.
But I
In the
will
capital
say
region.
that, like, we pay everyone that we work with, and that is really important to us.
Same thing here. I don't care if it's $75. Everybody involved have a stipend. Everybody, in the last a few productions started. Everybody gets something. I have to do that. Even if I spend everything we made ticket wise, I have to give a stipend for everybody. So.
Awesome. Well, the podcast is called The Play That Changed My Life. So
I knew that was coming.
there it is.
I
There
have
it
like a
is.
million answers.
Yeah, no, that's okay. We'll have you back. You can answer, you can answer any which way you choose. It could be a play you saw last night. Could be the play that gave you the taste of theater, or a play that just rocked you. Who wants?
I mean, I'm here today in your show here. I've been performing since I was 9 years old in Haiti, in French and Creole, and a little Spanish, because we're right there next to the Dominican Republic, and we were occupied by the Spanish. So, Haiti has all that culture in it. So I have a little of that. But I've been performing in all those since I was 9. And then, but I was just performing, me as Remy, until I moved up here in 97. And all that changed from 82 to 97. I wasn't doing anything. I was with a Haitian troupe, in the 80s, late 80s, and then that was it. But I wanted to perform in English, in the English community. Now, in 2000, I auditioned for Kevin Maguire and Benji White at Hubbard Hall. My first play in English in 99, 2000. You remember what that was?
Yeah.
St. John of Arc.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That was my first play. Kevin and Benji cast me. Now,
Was this the place where you kept getting pulled over?
yes. Driving up to Cambridge, time I get pulled over. I said, can I ask why? Well, your license plate is crooked. I've been driving to Albany forever. Nobody stopped me until I go to Cambridge.
Those back hills.
Eventually, Benji called the commissioner, the police commissioner, and said, if you don't stop,
Harassing.
harassing the black men coming in our show, you're going to have something in your hand. And they stopped eventually. I was I was pulled over sometime after that, going at, on 20, 22 or something, and then the cop stopped me and said, you know why I pulled you over? I said, I have no idea. He said, you were going at 30 on 20 or 40 on 25, something like this.
Yeah.
And then, so where you coming from? Oh, I'm coming, I'm just coming from Hubbard Hall. I just finished a play there, and I'm just going home. So, and I have another show tonight. And then, I don't know if you realize that I'm the same black man that Benji complained about. And he said, and we had a great conversation. Oh, my mother just saw your play, and he gave me my license back, didn't give me a ticket. So,
Awesome.
yeah, so saying all that, yes, that was around that same time. And then, but that first play it's not my favorite play, but because that's the play that gave me the opportunity to, right after that, my first play in English ever in the capital region, okay, and then to get more opportunity, to do 3 more at Hubbard Hall, and then Kevin said, Remy, I think you're ready to be out there. Go out there, go audition. I was still holding myself back because I wasn't, really comfortable, enough. I was, to go out there. So I eventually go. I was auditioning to every place in New Paltz and trying to build something. So taking it from there and what I'm doing now, it changed my life. Not my favorite play, but the opportunity to be there. I will say Joan of Arc was the play that changed my life.
Awesome. And that's Hubbard Hall is where I met you.
Yeah, yeah.
You were in
you were
Peter
in-
Pan.
Peter Pan and flying flying Kathleen all over.
which-
I was
Yeah,
I was flying Kathleen all around and then
which is Chris and my first date.
your first day, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
They went to see the first date went to see my play. We went way back.
What a world.
Yeah,
2001.
yeah. So
Awesome. Can I ask, how did you find Hubbard Hall? What were you doing up there to audition?
I didn't know anything about Hubbard Hall. I had a friend of mine.
So you just drove an hour out of town?
No, I had a friend of mine who lives in,
Okay.
what's that? What's a small town? The theater there up there.
Fort Salem?
Fort Salem.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a friend of mine who lives in Salem,
Okay.
who was in New York a lot. And then she knows my passion, okay, in the 97, 90, 98, 99. She knew my passion. She said, Remy, you have to meet Kevin McGuire.
Okay.
Okay,
There we go.
Because, Salem and Hubbard Hall is like,
There's a connection.
yeah. So you have to meet Kevin McGuire, okay? And then I said, I don't know who Kevin McGuire is. I never heard of Hubbard Hall, okay? And then there was the same time I went to audition for Kevin. I didn't even know what I was auditioning for. I just went to meet him.
Yeah.
And then he was telling me, both him and Benji was telling me about the show. Okay, and it wasn't even an audition, it was a conversation. And I went home, and next thing I know, I get a call, we're gonna cast you in Joan of Arc, playing two roles, a priest and a soldier. First play, I'm playing two roles. Okay, it was a French play, so it doesn't matter if I had an accent. So and Kevin at that time is still, he loves French, the language, and then I was excited to
Awesome.
start working. So, yeah.
Great story.
So Hubbard Hall and with Joan of Arc.
Oh my God, I'm panicking because I know it's my turn.
Yeah. We can't stretch that out much longer.
No, I feel like I have a million answers, but today I'm going to focus on a play that rocked me. And I feel like it's probably on your list also, but it was A Shadow That Broke the Light. Oh my God. I know it may be weird picking a Troy Foundry presented production, but that show just destroyed me. It was very personal, and for people that don't know that production, it was a piece created by two brothers, Charlie and Adam Del Marcel, and it surrounded the opioid epidemic, which is a topic that is something that I've been personally affected by, and it just took me by surprise. I had never seen a play that was so effective, that so effectively represented exactly the way that I felt. And we decided to do a 24-hour production of it where we performed it over and over and over and over and over again for 24 hours. And the cycle of that added to the intensity of the experience for me. Sometimes it was full, sometimes it was 2 a.m. and there was one person there. But it never lost its power. And I know that that production actually just went on to get nominated for a Barrymore.
Awesome.
So Charlie has been working on it, developing it. It's changed because, one of the concepts of the piece was this is how many people die every 72 minutes from an overdose. And that number has increased. So the production structure itself has also changed. And I haven't seen it, and I would love to. Yeah. And there's possible talk of maybe trying to bring it back at some point because it has changed, and we think that people would love to see it again. But that production just tore me apart and made me also realize that there were so many other people in the community that also struggled with this same thing, whether it be with a family member or a partner or a loved one or you yourself. And that element was humanizing, and it was just wonderfully done. And I know that you saw that show and you also had a very strong reaction to it.
Yeah, it's about the loss of their brother. And I saw one of the first viewings of the play, I think like 9 o'clock at night or something, if not the first, the second or something. But in watching it, my brother died of an accidental overdose, and it was actually a prescription for a cold medicine that he was not supposed to be drinking with. And it was prescribed by my brother, who's a pharmacist. And it was at Christmas time.
Yeah.
You did it like the 20th,
It was like
21st.
It was like the end of December. Yeah.
And my brother died on like December 27th. And it was actually 20 years that when I saw it. Devastating. I knew what the play was about going into it, but then watching it, it was just, living inside me. It was just
Exactly. Yeah. Like I mentioned, I had never seen anyone put into words and perform those thoughts that seemed so personal and private to me. One of my past partners that I was in a relationship with for about 7 years passed away of a heroin overdose several, years ago now. But it's not something that I ever really talked about with people with loved ones, yes, but not publicly. And that performance also had an element of sharing to it.
Yeah.
That was really powerful and kind of helped me to know that I could talk about it and that it was okay to talk about. And a lot of the work that we did alongside the play as well, outreach and education, and that was also really meaningful and powerful. And Charlie and Adam have made this kind of their life's work, and it's really beautiful. And it's still happening, and it's still a play that exists and is being performed, so you can see it.
At the end of the play, they opened it up to a talkback or anybody who wanted to share something. And I love talkbacks, but I don't. I like watching them. I don't always contribute. I like
Same thing here.
but I did, and I shared about my brother, and I was like, oh man. And now, anything comes up, like your favorite Foundry theater production, I'm always like. Or actually, your favorite play about the holidays.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was. I can't even say anything else about it.
Very, very powerful.
Yeah, it was. It was an amazing, amazing experience, and a gruesome experience, and a beautiful experience.
All right. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Thank you so much for joining me on the play that changed my life. I'm sure I'll be seeing both of you in a theater real soon.
Yeah.
Very soon. Yeah.
Friday, I think. Onwards and upwards.
Oh, one last thing. Camp Logan.
Yes.
Which was the very first production we did. That's also something really big that, changed everything I do. Very production we did in 2012. The very first production about those soldiers in Camp Logan, Texas, they was killed and hanged because of the riot being harassed by local white and police. This week, I don't know if you read in the news that the first time since then, it came in the news that they pardoned those officers that they didn't do anything wrong.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah. If you read in the news about the 100 soldiers that was hanged, so the government finally admitted, they didn't do anything wrong. He was this week. So I share it with all the everybody was involved in the Camp Logan production, or played with Michael and
There's been a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did it twice, 2 production, 2 full stage production, and 1 for 2020 virtual, and 1 time at Sage College in Albany, a stage reading. So
Thanks so much.
Yeah. So,
Excellent. Great. Well, Emily, Remy, thank you so much.
Patrick.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for joining us for the play that changed my life, and we'll be back next time.